Hey, Cake Nights here, and welcome back to another video. So originally, I was just gonna upload the boyfriend video for Pride and that's it, but like, I didn't want to end the month with that thing, so here we are. In today's video, we'll be discussing the webtoon High Class Homos. High Class Homos was drawn and written by Momo3. The summary for this comic is pretty simple in a way. Princess Sophia's parents want her to get married with a prince, but the problem here is that she's not into princess. She decides to ask her best friend Prince August, who is also gay, for help, and they get the idea to do a wedding sham, which in short basically means they would marry each other. Now the biggest question for this is, will it work out for them, or will their plan fail in the end? I remember finding the premises really interesting, and it was one of the reasons why I read it. I also remember seeing her comic on Instagram since it was originally on there before it got moved to Webtoon. While it took longer to get updates from the comic due to it being moved to originals, I'm still very proud of her for getting such a big opportunity. Enough of me rambling though, and let's get into it before I spoil the whole video.
Wow.
The art style for High Class Homos is honestly really cute. I actually really like the art style of the comic. I like that they assigned a color for each character's speech bubble. It's organized, neat, and it fits the characters. It honestly makes it much more easier to know who's talking, since I'm not there playing a guessing game being like, okay, this person is talking, and now this person is talking, and now wait, who's talking now? And I know how the background at times looks simple in the panels, but honestly, I don't really mind it. I do wish that at times there was more in the background, but at the same time, it's fine since it fits the art style. Also, drawing backgrounds is very fucking hard, so I don't blame the creator for making it simple like that. Don't worry, me too. But anyways, although at times, what I like from the backgrounds is the patterns that sometimes appear. I feel like it adds a bit more to it in a way. Another thing I want to add is that I love the flowers when it comes to the romantic scenes. Like for example, when it comes to August and Percival, who are referring to as Percy, dancing and having the flowers the colors that represent them. I freaking love it. It adds a sort of charm to it in a way. But moving on though, since I already mentioned two of the many main characters, let's now talk about them a bit more. I actually really like the main cast of High Class Homos, mostly because there's more to them than meets the eye. Like when it comes to Sophia, we always see that she's messing around with people that she's close with, that she isn't that ladylike but in a funny type of way, and overall just a friendly character. But of course, she has her struggles, one of them being, for example, her relationship with her parents and just feeling like she doesn't fit in her kingdom. When it comes to the kingdom part, we see it mainly when she's walking in the castle after being sent home for kicking a guest, which I know y'all may be confused as to why she did this. Don't worry, I'll get into it in a bit. But anyways, we see the staff whispering about her how if you look at her, she'll try to seduce you. And when one of them tells them to be quiet or they'll get reported, the other says that she doesn't care since her parents don't think of her any different. Which can already tell you a bit about how her parents may be. And once you meet them, they get frustrated with her since she embarrassed them in their kingdom, hasn't been able to get a suitor like she told them she would, and ruin her reputation even more. And just get her in trouble for what she did, and say that they want what's best for her, that they know what's best for her. Even saying that if she doesn't fix her mess, they would find someone for her. And when she was sent to her room, all they did is question how things got like this. Why did she become so troublesome? Mostly since she was their pride and joy. So what went wrong for them? Honestly, this scene just made me feel so bad for her, mostly with the whole she was our pride and joy part. Because honestly, just a parent saying that to their child is honestly so sad. Another one of her struggles I want to get into as well is when it comes to a character we meet a bit later on named Nikolai, or Nick for short, which I'm gonna be referring to him as, since throughout the video I'm gonna be butchering his name. Anyways, for context when it comes to Sophia describing him, she mentioned how they used to be friends back then, how he tried being one of her suitors, but of course, she rejected him. Although this happened, they still remained as friends, but later on, he started to become toxic to her. She doesn't know if it was because some feelings he still had for her, personal issues, or even both, that caused him to act like this, but all she knows is that he was being toxic. She even mentioned at one point that they would argue a lot, and if the argument escalated, he would grab her arm or push her. And then when he found out that she was lesbian, all she said was that he reacted poorly, which caused her to stop being friends with him. What makes it even more sad is the fact that despite Nick never hurting her or anything like that, he scares her. And we see this throughout panels where Nick shows up when Sophia is there. We see her more tense and uncomfortable, not wanting to be near him, which is understandable. Although he never technically hurt her, he would still grab her arm and push her harshly, mostly since for her, it would happen consistently and wouldn't know what to do to make him stop this from happening, so she says she felt like she was walking on eggshells due to him getting mad over the littlest things. It would in a way happen randomly, so it scared her even more. And there was also another incident that I'll be mentioning later on. And also what doesn't doesn't help is that he consistently tries to talk to her because he says he wants to make amends, which you would think by seeing Sophia uncomfortable and trying to get away from him, he would realize that she doesn't want to, but no. But there's a reason to this that I'll be talking about later on. But anyways, Sophia isn't the only one that has her struggles though. There's August as well, who also has his own struggles. For context, his mother left him at a young age and his father would get sick consistently. So his whole life, he just had to be studying and preparing to be the next king in case something happened to his father, mostly at a young age. So he's always overworking himself, trying to get everything ready, and in a way trying to prove to his father that he is fit to be the next king, that he's worthy to be the next king. So when things go horribly at the ball, he breaks down because he feels like he failed Sophia, his father, and even Odette, all because he couldn't stop the events that occurred, which was Sophia kicking Nick since he was harassing both her and Odette, and also slapped Odette. I know, it's very surprising. But you know, good on her, he deserved it. Anyways, so speaking about Odette, of course she also has her own set of problems, which is basically the fact that at first she felt out of place and mostly hated being in the castle. She mentioned how she used to live beyond the frontier, and since the kingdom expanded, she needed to get a job to pay the king. And although she had a lot of useful skills, being a maid was the only thing that was offered to her. So being there makes her feel out of place in a way, since she's not used to it. She was also used to being able to run around and feel free. So working there makes her feel like she got her freedom taken away from her, mostly since she's away from her family now and can't run off as freely as she did before. Then there's Marla, who's still stuck in the past in the sense that she can't get over her former partner, which I'll be mentioning more about it later on, and even Lucas, which I'll also talk more about since it all has to do with the writing of the characters. But before I move on, in short, the characters all have their own struggles, which is something I like to see when it comes to story-driven comics, mostly because I hardly see it, and when I do see it, it's something I could care less, and this has to do with the writing of the characters. But overall, I really like them and how the characters were written, mostly because they're pretty likable. And I won't lie though, I do have a few favorites, which is Luna, the witch we meet in one of the episodes, Percy, and Sophia. But I do have a character I dislike, which is Nick, obviously. But notice how I didn't say hate, and there's a reason to that, which all has to do with the writing. When it comes to the plot real quick, like I mentioned earlier, August and Sophia have to do a wedding sham in order to please Sophia's parents as well as get what they want. And you may be wondering what I mean by that. Well, the plan was basically to get married, pretend they have a few marital problems here and there in order to get separate bedrooms, and also to be with the people that they want to be with. So August was going to make Percy his bodyguard, and Sophia was going to make someone be her lady in waiting. At first it was going to be Marla since they had a little thing going on, but well, we know how that went. And don't worry if you don't know, I'm gonna be mentioning it right now, mostly since this has to do with the writing with Marla not getting over her ex, which is something I mentioned earlier. So at first when Marla and Sophia get together, we see them happy and you think it might work out for them, but that is until later on when all the main characters decide to go hang out in town when she thinks she sees Luna, which we find out later on she's the witch she's been planning on killing to avenge her former partner, since she found out that her former partner was killed by her. She starts remembering her former partner in the plan she had, which causes her to rethink her relationship with Sophia. And we see this when Odette makes a comment about Sophia loving her, making Marla stop what she was doing and thinking about it. And then there was the time at the ball where Sophia is about to tell her that she loves her, which makes Marla feel uneasy since she feels like they're moving too fast and excuses herself, leaving Sophia standing there thinking about what she did wrong. But something that I like here that some webtoons tend to lack, you know, is that they have communication. After the events that occurred at the ball where Sophia kicked Nick and August's dad asking her to pack her things and basically sending her home, Marla goes to her saying how she didn't like how Sophia was using her for the plan because she was one of the girls that felt the same way. But she also admits how she was using Sophia in order to get over her ex. She even tells Sophia that if they continue this relationship, she'll end up hurting her in the end. Marla even admits to herself that it's not fair to make Sophia wait for something that she herself isn't sure she'll get over, which is why she has to let Sophia go, for she can be with someone that can make her happy, which is something I really like, and I know a lot of people don't do. Ahem. Looking at someone
in Pacific.
Other than that though, what I like as well is how certain characters are written into something you wouldn't really expect them to be. Like when it comes to August's dad, he's seen as someone who's just a very stern man, very serious, and just looks like a very intimidating person overall. That is until we get into the chapters where August and Sophia are talking to his dad about approving their marriage. When August's dad and Sophia are alone, his expression changes super quick, asking if she was sure she wanted to marry him and was doing it because she wanted to, not because her parents were forcing her. Even even saying how he believed that she acted the way she did at the ball was all because she wanted to actually be sent home, which is why he was giving his son a hard time about accepting the proposal. I kid you not, I was staring at my screen in shock. I was not expecting to see this side of the king, but I'm glad I did, because even though it wasn't something big, it was a nice little thing that shows there's more to the character, mostly when you hear about his marriage. As I mentioned before, August's mom left when he was young, and the king mentioned how their marriage was arranged, and although he was able to fall in love with her, the queen wasn't able to do the same. So when she ran away, he didn't stop her because he knew if he had her stay, she would remain unhappy, which is why he asked Sophia if she was truly in love with August and actually wanted to marry him, and not because she was forced to. Mostly because although he wants August to be happy, she doesn't want Sophia to sacrifice her happiness, which honestly gives you a better perspective how the king really is, and I love how they show that there was more to the king than meets the eye. I also like the way the writing is when it comes to how characters interact and how their relationships are. They feel like real life conversations some people would have, which is something I like. Of course, it's still fictional, so it's not 100% real life, but it's still something. Mostly since I don't see that type of thing often in webtoons. And other than that, there's also... No, this can't be. There's character development in this webtoon? Finding good character development in webtoon, mostly ones that are done decently or right, is like trying to find something good in Netflix or something like that. It's fucking hard half of the time. So one of the examples when it comes to this has to do with Sophia's perspective when it comes to freedom. Her and Odette have a fight with Odette telling Sophia that she doesn't do much, and Sophia makes a comment saying that she does have some tasks to do, and at least Odette gets to have freedom, saying how Odette can freely go into town, go to markets, go to festivals, and make friends with other people, and that all she has to do is just make some dishes, which of course angers Odette. And that's when she tells her that it's not that simple, since if she makes something wrong, she could get fired, saying how there's so much poverty, hunger, and people who can't get education due to the fact that they're quote-unquote commoners, all while Sophia gets to have all those privileges and not worry about it, and even saying if she really was free, then she wouldn't be working there for them. And what I like from this interaction is that Sophia realizes what she did wrong, feels bad, and apologizes for it, and later on, she even gives bread to someone who needed it, which we later on find out it was Luna. And when Odette asks why she did it, she says how she thought about what she said and how it was the least she could have done for the person, which is something I liked. Even though it was a small thing, it was still something. And she isn't the only one that gets character development though. The next person I want to talk about actually have to be the person I said I dislike, which is Nick. I know, big shocker, but let me get into it. So I know I'm still talking about the writing when it comes to character development and stuff, but here's the thing. When it comes to the writing in webtoons, mostly when it involves representing something, it can either be good, decent, or absolute ass. And something that I've seen on webtoons that gets represented horribly is toxic friendships/relationships. I've seen many webtoons romanticize toxic friendships/relationships, and it bothers the hell out of me. Mostly because at times, they make it into this little cutesy thing and have the toxic person remain the same and just have them apologize and make them move on as if nothing happened. That's their character development, which bothers me a lot because that isn't healthy. Mostly when they make the characters still hang out. And I get that it's all fictional and all, but that still doesn't stop me from hating how certain things are portrayed in certain webtoons. So when it comes to the character development with Nick, it honestly wasn't done bad, and in my opinion, it was done pretty well, mostly because it wasn't something out of the blue. Let me explain. Throughout the comic, Nick is an asshole, no doubt about it. Like, he legit told Sophia he was going to cause Odette into huge trouble by saying that she seduced Sophia, all because he wanted to protect August, mostly since he considered August as a friend and thought that she was manipulating him, which, by the way, he makes a lot of comments about her manipulating him and her playing victim. We even get to see a mirror that has an image of how he basically views her, and although that's the case where he makes a lot of these comments and all that, after making them though, we see a bit of regret in his comments, so it wasn't that much of a surprise when seeing how he got a redemption arc in a way. Plus, we get to see later on why he acts the way he does towards Sophia. For a bit of background, Nick has two other brothers, but they were never really close, so because of this he was always alone and didn't really have anybody. Although yes, he did become popular and knew people as he grew up, he never really had someone he could consider as a friend, which is why when he met Sophia, he was really happy since he finally had someone he was close with. So when they separated, he was hurt deeply by this, saying how she played with his feelings and abandoned him, how she always tried playing victim, basically saying how she manipulated him, which is something I mentioned earlier. There's a few chapters after the events of the wedding where he's in a room full of mirrors, each of them showing a memory, memory. So when he remembered about the time when he went horseback riding with Sophia, it shows up. He says how he remembered her trying to provoke him and later on playing victim and running away to make it seem like he was at fault, saying how this was her many examples of manipulation. Although that's not what really happened. What really happened was that Sophia asked him to slow down since she couldn't keep up, making a little comment saying how this was the reason why men are most likely to die from accidents. This angers Nick as he makes this comment to her, which catches her off guard. But she isn't the only one that is caught off guard, because upon seeing this memory, Nick also gets caught off guard. And we see Sophia hurt by this and trying to leave, but this makes Nick panic, thinking about how he messed things up. So he decides to do the only logical thing here, and decides to make his horse go in front of hers, which almost causes her to fall and get hurt. Which, bro, of course it causes her to freak out. Like, my brother in Christ, what did you think was gonna happen? She was gonna be all fine and dandy and just move on like nothing happened? Well, then again, that's how like most people do it with their characters, but moving on. So upon seeing this, he questions himself if maybe he was in the wrong, but that thinking soon stops and gets out the window when he thinks about how August was able to win her and how he failed August since he didn't get to stop the wedding in time. So when he went to August to tell him about Sophia, he soon finds Percy, and that's when we get to see the mirror starting to shatter. And then when August confirms he's gay after Nick asked him, the mirror shatters completely. The image he had of Sophia for so long was now gone. He realizes that their falling out was all because of him. He tried so hard to convince himself that it wasn't him, that it was all Sophia's fault. So realizing it was truly his fault made him feel worse, even admitting to himself that he was more scared of her leaving than hating how he was treating her, which backfired in the end for him since, well, she left. And what I like here is that when he sees her and wants to go apologize, August stops him, asking if he wants to apologize to her because he genuinely wants to, or because he wants to make himself feel better. Even saying that if he was truly sorry for what he did, then he should leave her alone, which is what he does. He goes back home and even tells August's dad Sophia and August are going to be good rulers. In my opinion, I think what the creator did here was well done. She didn't try to romanticize toxic people, and it wasn't out of nowhere. Most of the time, what I've seen happen in Webtoon is that the characters will have a character development out of nowhere. There's no build up to it, no hint about it, nada. Which is why the character development feels off and just out of nowhere. It can even be the same when it comes to a big reveal with certain characters. Sometimes it can feel out of nowhere and there's like no big hint for the big reveal, which is why at times it doesn't work. But when it comes to High Class Homos, that really isn't the case here. The character I want to bring up right now for this is Lucas. So we don't really know much about Lucas at first other than his personality, where he likes to play around with people, he's really chill, and just a good person overall. We get little hints about his past with the line where he says how people didn't always call him Lucas when he was talking to Percy about something. With this, you can already get the hint that he's possibly trans. Later on, we get this confirmation when he comes up to the rest of the main cast after the events at the wedding. For context, Luna is in love with August. Like, the main man is the whole reason why she did witchcraft, since she wanted to do a love spell on him. Even though she couldn't find one, she was still able to find her love for magic. So when she found out Sophia and August were getting married, Miss Girl was heartbroken and decided to crush the wedding to avenge her broken heart. Marla's about to kill Luna, and Luna tries to blast her with magic. Lucas gets between them and stops them, with him telling Luna to stop, indicating that he knows her. So after the wedding, Marla demands an explanation from Lucas about how he knows Luna and why he was so friendly with her, even asking if he was in on the murder of her ex. So because of this, Lucas then tells him the story and tells them in a fairy tale type of way by saying like once upon a time, which is something I kind of like. But anyways, he tells them how there was a pair of twins named Lunarella and Luciel, who I'll be referring to as Luce. He says that they came from a family that were renowned musicians and were very well known. Luna wasn't the best at the whole musician thing, but was really good at magic, which her parents disapproved of and had them decide to pay more attention to Luce. Although this happened, Luna and Luce stayed close and were always there for each other. They went through their own different paths, with Luce going to the kingdom to follow her parents' footsteps and becoming a musician. There, Luce met Marla, and soon they fell in love. Although Luce was happy to be with Marla, something was bothering Luce, which was the reason why Luce decided to leave. When Luce got home, Luna tells her how she found a spell that could help, and so they start to prepare everything. After preparing, Luce tells Luna that he wants to be referred to as Lucas now, and when Luna asks Lucas what changes he wants, he says blue hair, mostly because that was Marla's favorite color. So after Luna performed the spell, Lucas was ecstatic since it worked, but now the hard part was basically leaving, since they planned to make it look like Luna killed her own sibling. Lucas was hesitant about it, but of course Luna says that this was the only way to get what they both wanted, freedom and a new life. So after Lucas leaves, the plan goes well, and now Luna is wanted, but she's happy since she got to be free. Meanwhile, Lucas was able to get his new life. After the story, this causes Marla to leave in anger, and Lucas follows her. Marla asks for an explanation as to why he lied to her and didn't tell her, even asking if he was ever going to tell her. Lucas says he doesn't know if he would have, since he was scared of how she would have reacted and scared he wouldn't be able to escape his past, that he wanted her to fall in love with the man he is now, not the girl she used to be in love with even saying that technically he didn't lie to her, that the girl Marla was with is now dead, now there's just him, saying how as much as it hurt seeing her with Sophia, he was just happy being by her side, which has Marla a bit stunned when he says that, but soon replies with saying how if that was the case, then she's glad that she's dead, and saying how Lucas was alive, that he is alive, and is relieved to have him back. After this though, Marla tells Lucas that she needs time and space to process everything. Woo! That was a fucking roller coaster of emotions. When it comes to how the situation was handled, I think the creator did a pretty decent job at it. It was handled in a good way, it was handled with a lot of care, and it was just overall respectful, which is what I liked about it. Also, what I liked is that it wasn't out of nowhere, since it would be hinted in the comic with Lucas looking at Sophia and Marla, a bit sad seeing them together, and with what I mentioned earlier about Lucas saying how people didn't always call him Lucas before. I also liked that at the end of one of the chapters where Lucas was telling his story, the creator put this message right here, saying how everyone has their own personal experience when it comes to their gender identity and transitioning, and no matter what it may have been, they would always be welcomed, which is honestly also really nice since it shows the respect and care she tried putting into this. I also want to share another perspective when it comes to this, which is by a friend of mine who is transgender. I gave him a rundown of the comic and as well as the chapters that involved Lucas's story for he could tell me his opinion on it and he wouldn't get lost of what I was showing him. He told me that he also liked how it was handled as well, but the only thing that he didn't like though is how Marla reacted, in a sense that Marla tried to make it about herself a bit at that moment and basically tried making Lucas tell his story to everybody. He said that if he was in that situation he would have felt a bit awkward with Marla after that, but that he understood how this was to fit the story, which is why he didn't mind it as much. He also made a comment saying how he also saw both of them as being selfish in a way and that it wasn't one-sided. Lucas for making her think he was dead and Marla for kind of making it about herself at that moment, which is what he liked in a way though, since they have their flaws, just like actual humans do, which I honestly agree with. I do believe that in the end they were both selfish when it comes to the situation, and I did like that because of it, it shows them basically having flaws and just having a normal human interaction. It's not one-sided and overall it's neutral, which is what I liked about it. Overall, my friend said that he liked how it was handled and it was handled well. And I would also like to say if there's any viewers who's trans and would like to tell me their opinions on it, you can gladly do so in the comments. I would love to hear what you all have to say about this as well. High Class Homos is honestly one of the rare good comics on Webtoons in my opinion. The art is nice, the characters are likable and have more depth to them, the plot/writing is pretty good and it's really interesting, the character development is honestly done pretty well, and the representation in this webtoon is also done pretty well. As of right now, there haven't been any updates of the webtoon since the creator says she wanted to focus on university, which is understandable, but she did say that there was going to be a second season, so we would just have to wait and see. Just by the way, don't pressure the creator, and this goes by any creator, don't pressure them into trying to finish it faster and get to it faster, because it's not gonna come out as good and you're just gonna have unnecessary stress on the creator, so just want to have that out. But anyways, that's it for now. I hope you enjoyed this video as much as I enjoyed making it. If you want to see more of my content, subscribe, leave a like if you'd like. If you have any recommendations on what I should talk about next, go ahead and tell me in the comments below, or even better yet, if you want to tell me about your opinions on the comic or just anything that I missed, go ahead and tell me in the comments below. I would love to hear it. I hope you all have a lovely day or night, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye bye!